Anyway, so we're here with the Star 80 project, Star
Okay.
80, a celebration of 80 gowns, 80 dolls, and 80 year. And I am so thrilled that we are interviewing global fans of Miss Diana Ross. We have Phillipe, a fashion designer, and really you're a fashion historian. So we're talking
Wait,
to you from all the way from
all the way from Paris, where
wow. So tell the
all
audiences, the all 244 people that watched my TikToks, that's what my algorithm. Tell everybody, what is going on that's so exciting in Paris right now?
so right now it's really one of the most exciting things. Um, Diana Ross is appearing on street corners and on we don't have billboards here in Paris. It's not like in LA, but what we do is when we redo a building, a historical building, it is covered with a huge plastic panel. And many times these are taken over by publicity, and it helps to pay for the renovation of the building. And so there is a huge one right next to Notre Dame, our beautiful church, which is being restored, and it is just Diana Ross
So
in
Diana Ross, Star 80, she's on a cathedral, a famous cathedral from the
she's
15th century,
she's
correct?
actually she's on the police station, which is across the street from the
Well, you
cathedral.
just ruined my fantasy, okay? And I'm
She's
gonna
a,
like pretend that you didn't say that. All right.
yeah,
But the
but
facts are
it
the
is a
facts. It's on a security kind of police force thing.
fantastic, beautiful building, and she is doing the Diana. She's doing the Saint Laurent spring collection for 24. Now there are other artists, but it's Diana Ross practically everywhere, and she has two looks. One with that dress that she's wearing. I hope you're going to make one of those.
I already did.
I'm sure you did. I made mine.
For my
And
doll,
then,
but you made it for you. I made it for the doll. Yeah. So
of
just
course,
to letting people know that, you and I met online. I really
that's
enjoyed
right.
enjoy everything. And I was actually sick with RSV, so I haven't been able to tell you that I really enjoy everything you put on YouTube. I love how clean and clear you are and all the interesting facts and historical information about all the recording artists that we clearly share and love. And of
And love
course,
you.
we're doing this little analog here, but this is the Star 80. I repurposed the Live at Caesar's Palace. Okay,
Absolutely
and
gorgeous.
from 1974, with a devastating affair is backing Diana. But you've been backing Diana since you were a young man, and you told me
Absolutely.
about getting the Touch Me in the Morning reissue with the mahogany look. All right, so
Absolutely.
I am going to get into the questions that I wrote specifically for fans from around the world because Diana
Okay.
Ross is a global diva, and we're counting the days until Diana Ross's 80th birthday. Could you tell the viewers, because I know her birthday, when is Diana Ross's birthday?
March 26th, and
It's
it's also the birthday of my favorite aunt, who I've loved ever since I was a little boy. She's my mother's sister, but she was my sweetheart. She took me to concerts. She would spoil me like no one, and I never realized that it was the same day, because sometimes when these things are so close to your heart, you completely obliterate. And then one day, I posted "Happy Birthday, Diana Ross" on Facebook, and she wrote back, "Well, what about me?" And then all of a
right.
sudden, I realized, could you imagine the person who's so close in my life, and she's born the same day as Diana Ross, and I wouldn't, I just didn't,
Didn't register.
it
Well,
doesn't register.
I have one of those neurodiverse learning abilities with my brain. I forget nothing, and it's a blessing and it's a curse. But like when anyone tells me their birthday once, I remember. So for example, my cousin's birthday is March 26th. So he has the same birthday as Diana Ross. And I was a kid, I grew up watching Star Trek, and I know Leonard Nimoy, who's passed on, his birthday is March 26th. Okay.
Okay, that's
And
pretty
so,
cool.
not that you care about Star Trek or my
I
cousin
do.
Billy, but
I
Billy,
do.
okay, thanks. Well, I care about you, and I want you to share with the world, um, you know, the Star 80 deep dive question, Beyond the Supremes Classic, which I've been asking this question to a couple of people, and they've been giving me kind of big worldwide hits. So you can either pick a deep cut or a huge hit, one that Diana Ross, not the Supremes, but you could choose the Supremes if you must. I'm not gonna, because she, as long as it's not the Jean Terrell years or when Sherry Payne took over in 73. I love Sherry. I've met her a few times. I don't know Jean. I love her voice, but we're talking about Diana Ross because
Of
she's
course.
the star 80. So what song by Diana Ross, holds a special heart, a special place in your heart? And if you could tell us why.
So for me, undeniably, it's the song I Wouldn't Change a Thing. Uh,
Really?
because it was, first of all, and I think I told you this, Timothy, my very first real encounter with Diana Ross was a female impersonator.
Oh,
Uh, and
yes, I
I was
remember that.
13 years old, and he went
And that colored
through
the rest of your life. Yeah.
it completely. He went
Wow.
through the screen, the curtain. He pushed the curtain open, and
I'm
he had a
sure.
cape, and the song was cut. So Here I Am was cut from his rendition. So he just started with I Wouldn't Change a Thing, and then
Wow. So you chopped the first part of the song and just, I wouldn't
the
change a thing.
opening,
Right.
and then got right into the audience and started shaking hands, which was, you touch the star, even though and he was like us, he was a very white man, so it was a very white hand touching me, but nevertheless the magic was there. And then, twisted around in the cape that he was wearing, and I went under the cape. I was ringside, and
Wow.
I looked up and I saw all that sequiny gold and the scent of perfume, and something happened. And I said, I,
Clearly.
I want to be in that magic,
Well, sure. And I'm sure it influenced your fashion, going into fashion and everything. Sure.
everything. And
Absolutely.
then I went looking for that song, and all I remembered was the last part of it. Here I am, here I'll
Of
stay.
course.
And so I would go to stores and say, look, I'm looking for a song of Diana Ross called Here I Am. And everybody said, there's no such thing. And I would say, but no, no, I'm telling you, there's not a song called Here I Am. And finally, there was a young woman who had just been hired in a store, in a record store. So she started picking out every single album and looking. And she finally found, and actually, that's not the title of the song, because Here I Am was the beginning, and then she ends the song with
I
it.
wouldn't change a thing. Right.
She
Very
finds
cool.
Here I Am, and she
Yeah.
says, "Look," and I went, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And it was the double album, so it was 7.99, and I only had 6.99. So I begged her, please, please save it for me, keep it for me, and I'll come back, and I'll come back. And took a bus and went all the way home, and got $1, and went all the way back with my best friend Howard. But we were kids, we were children, and it was so important, so exciting. And so finally got home and heard the real song with the opening, where she's singing a cappella, Here I am, here I'll
Here
stay.
I am, here I'll stay. Yeah, I use that in all of the whole progress of this is like the fourth or fifth time I've done every Diana Ross gown in a puppet, but these puppets are special. Yeah. So I always say I'm never going to do them again, but once you love something, you just can't let
Of
go.
course.
So interesting though, because I love that introduction with the applause, and when the audience clearly sees the
Or
human being
appear,
Diana Ross, they
and they go
really lose their
crazy.
mind. And that
That
was
is
filmed
fantastic.
in Los Angeles, and Smokey Robinson was in the audiences in the recording. And when I
Absolutely.
first bought the album, it was in a gatefold that was like originally released on March, whatever, 1977. Or maybe it was January 22nd, 1977. I think it was today, possibly, but don't
Oh,
quote me on that.
wow.
But the point is that album, I think it was a couple days ago, it was released in 77. And it said it was like a Motown reissue post 83 because they reissued all the albums as a kind of like a throwback to the 25th anniversary. And so when I found out that it was a gatefold, when open, like you said, the double album opens up, I was like, oh, I have to get that. And I saw Diana Ross dressed up as Bessie Smith and
Ethel Waters,
Ethel Waters and Josephine Baker.
Josephine Baker.
And it was, and of course she did Billie Holiday. And I didn't know who, that I was like, gosh, I was probably about 12 or 13, and I didn't know who the Josephine Baker, Bessie Smith, or Ethel Waters, but because of listening to the album, it was important. And the song. This is not that anyone cares, but in my book Pieces of Ice, I talk about I used this the point was help me get through 10th grade and through an election that I won for like 3 days, and then I came back from a whale watching trip in Providence when Diana Ross did release Red Hot Rhythm and Blues in 87. And then I came back and there was a re-election because it was rigged or something. But I didn't peak in high school. And this is a peak experience because I'm talking to you from across the world in 2024, and Diana Ross is still with us. So cool. And the point also, I used that speech, Harry Nilsson's story about Oblio, the round-headed boy who didn't get along or didn't feel a sense of belonging with the land of Point. And I actually used that on November 17th, 2003, when I spoke at the UN about my dolls, the Sage doll, which there is a new book called What the Heck is a Sage Doll? It just came out. And my point is that like I was able to repurpose Diana Ross and now we're repurposing materials to make our lives happy, to celebrate who the Diana Ross is through just conversations and talk. And we're so blessed that we have someone so amazing and has such tenacity and, truly loves her craft and loves her fans and is attracting people as young as like 14. This boy, Louis,
Absolutely.
like I talked to him, was so happy. His mom reached out to me a couple months ago and I thought, yeah, and of course, okay. And so it's just fun to be able to see someone like yourself coming of age and knowing that someone like Diana Ross is timeless. She matters, and her work speaks for itself. And then so do her gowns, and so does our obvious dedication and love. So
Absolutely.
the next question, great answer, by the way, about your song. And
Thank
the Enigma, the Star 80 evolutionary Enigma. She was in the girl group Supremes, which of course that's a super group, not just a girls group. I mean, it's a group. And she was a disco diva, a versatile recording artist. She can do anything, country, western, and pop. She did disco, she did pop, she did rock, she did blues. She even did a little taste of classical, which she went number one with
Absolutely.
with a microphone. I love that she had a microphone. I want to do that one day. I want to sing with them. I can't sing, but I would love to, with a microphone with opera singers. That would be really fun. But Placido Domingo and Jose Carreras in
Carreras, yes.
1992, which became a big number one album around the world in the classical charts in 93. So we're talking now about what era of Diana Ross's career resonates with you? Like
And
what is like you because you just can't live like the stack of CDs or albums or whatever however you listen to music, YouTube, streaming it. What is the go-to? Like I won't list a day without this record or this album.
And it's most definitely. And I saw one of your videos where there was a very charming lady who said, "I am of the disco era," and I was it completely resonated with me. I said, "I'm the same as you," and she loved Hangover and all. And for
Right.
me, it it's the it's the end of disco because to to give you a date and an album, it's The Boss, because The Boss was such an amazing album, and it's so powerful, and it was such a big hit, and she was, back everywhere on the charts. But also because the death of disco and this horrible time where there was that baseball game and that DJ,
Right, 1979 March that happened. Yeah, where they were the demolition of
the
all the disco
demolition of
records,
disco.
right?
And I remember as a young boy, it wasn't really Diana Ross, because Diana Ross is, no matter what she does and what she is, she's more than anything.
And
But
she's
as
more
a
than
young boy,
disco.
but she is also. But when I had seen the Ritchie family doing African Queens
Hmm.
on American Bandstand, there was something when they spoke, and when the one who did Nefertiti was talking, and there I just thought in my head, these people understand me. If I go up to them and I am all, girly and whatever, even though I was a little boy, they'll accept me. I just knew it. There was something about these disco divas and all that was around them. It just sounded familiar to me. They talked about their gowns and their beads and everything. And so disco was my savior. So when that died, I became. This is the time when they tried to kill it. This is when I took a stance, and I
Right.
remember when that uh, game, when they had all these albums burning, and there were no disco albums. If you look closely, these idiots brought anything. They even said on one uh, reel, oh, they're burning John Denver albums. I remember that, and I was looking, and I said, if I see a Donna Summer or a Diana Ross or a Ritchie family album, I will really
You're going to
be.
fly to Houston, Texas from
I'm gonna
where you
exactly
were in Montreal, I think, at the time, right?
Montreal,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
And so
you could have done that, and who knows what would have chance happened. But I need to state this, with regard to what you said about, disco helped you find success in your own uniqueness. And one of Diana Ross's messages to me on An Evening with Diana Ross, by the way, besides Oblio and The Point, was the finding the doubly dynamic, she says, and something about finding success in your own uniqueness. And as
of
a
course,
young 12-year-old, I thought, yes, I've got to get out of here. I gotta get out of this godforsaken hinterland and get to a place where there's Diana Ross fans or people like me. And I think that really speaks to all people that feel different or are different, whether it's their race or their religion, their creed, or their taste in music. So what's really cool though is that disco isn't dead. Disco is alive. And
alive.
people like to dance. And let's cross our fingers. Maybe Eric Krupper can remix a John Denver song so we can Take Me Home Country Roads or Rocky Mountain High. We can dance to it, right? Because he can do anything. He
Absolutely.
makes songs sound fresh. Like he did a Judy Garland remix of Come On Get Happy or something. And I was just like, what? And it really worked.
And
He didn't take any away of the nuances of Judy. And of course, he brought it to a level where you could really dance to it. So anyway, we're talking about Diana Ross though, but interestingly enough, Diana Ross and the Supremes did perform in the Astrodome in Houston with Judy Garland for all of like $2 or
absolutely.
something
Yes,
in
yes,
1965.
absolutely.
Couldn't, and it said Judy Garland and the
And
Supremes.
the Supremes, just
Now that's someplace where I wish I lived in Montreal or anywhere. I wasn't alive and neither were you, but it would be fun if we could have went there. That
could
would
you
have been really
imagine?
fun.
Could you
Yeah,
imagine? It's one of the
I could.
things I would have wanted to see. And there's also a picture where Diana Ross and the Supremes are performing outside, and they're wearing the yellow chiffon gowns. So it was around the time of the happening, and
Right.
and you have an audience of very young kids, and they're sitting on the floor, Indian style, but so close to the stage, which is very low. And it is, I always thought, God, I wish I was right there, because you could really be like so close to her. And I really thought, if I was, I was too young, but if I was alive then, I would have loved to have been right there, front row, sitting down on the floor watching Diana Ross. It was just the before the superstardom. I mean, they were superstars, but this is, there was just a time when you can go see a concert for $6 and
Yeah.
be really close to the stars.
Yeah. So, I shared publicly, probably foolishly, how many times I've seen Diana Ross as a human being, and it dates back to 1984, October 6th, where I fainted at her concert, and that's the truth. It's the truth. How many times have you seen Diana Ross?
I've
And
seen her.
I was never in the front row. I was in the front row a couple times, but like, I don't care. I can be like across the street in the parking lot. I just want to be there.
So I've seen her 9 times in concert.
I'm sorry.
Once, yeah, once front row in every single time in Paris. I've never seen her elsewhere because I started. I arrived in Paris in 1983, and that is when I was able to see concerts. And Diana Ross had never been in Montreal when I was living there. Uh, well,
She
as
was with the Supremes though, because there's a
right.
fun, Linda
But
DeStefano told me a great story about in
of
Diana Ross
course,
and the Supremes with Montreal. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And she also went to Toronto in 1977, 78, and the newspapers had written Diana Ross, the Montreal papers, Diana Ross, Toronto tickets didn't sell. Come to Montreal, we will fill the auditorium for you. And
Wow.
my best friend, had the Montreal Star, and he brought it to me, and I was so saddened that, but she didn't come to Montreal. And then once at the Thierry Mugler fashion show where she modeled, and so that was, one of the biggest thrills of my life, because could you imagine, she just walked right there, and she looked at me and gave me a big smile. And then one time she passed really literally in front of me, let's say about 20 feet away. And I was inside the Mugler store, and she stopped by a car, and she fixed her lipstick in front of a mirror. And she was with Patrice Calmette. I recognized him and
Right. Yeah. We
not,
always see him.
did
She went to the
not.
Oscars with him in 82.
She went to the Oscars. Yes, absolutely.
I
And I
follow
did.
him on Instagram.
You
Do
do?
you?
Me too,
Yeah.
on
Yeah. It's
Facebook as well.
important. Very
But
important.
I did not recognize her. She was wearing Mugler. She was looking phenomenal with big sunglasses. And I
Hmm.
just stared and stared and stared and stared at this incredible creature with, I think I told you, her waist was like this. I mean, it was like the tiniest doll waist I'd ever seen.
Yeah, as a young person, I would see her and to think like how like little she was. And as I was told her a little older, she was a little older, but like thing is she's still a very petite human being, but she was
Petite
just
being.
unworldly thin. So did you fan out? That's not in the question, but Star 80 question bonus round. Did you fan out when you saw her in her teeny waist?
Could you imagine?
So you just froze like I would. Like
The
I've
biggest,
never fanned out. I've
yeah,
never fanned out. I should. I did
what
it with
does,
Barry Gordy Jr. I did fan out. Like I would like
what,
jump up not like an idiot. But
what does,
Diana Ross, I have to be respectful. And I've only had one time where she touched my face, and I was like, I enjoy the lecture. What did I say? I said something. She touched my face. She called me out. She dragged me literally from a crowd of people. And I said, she touched my face and went like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, she touched me. But I didn't say, oh my gosh, outside. Inside I did. And I thought of all the different things. And she looked at me and she said, I said to her, it's an honor to meet you. And I was like, I enjoyed the lecture. I couldn't like, I got it out. And then I was like, yes. And then she goes, I have a plane to catch. And she like was swept away and went away. And I was like, of all the human beings to pick, she chose me. And that was my Diana Ross moment. Now I've had a lot of concerts, but then when she touched my face, like in person, like, but like this, like, or like in real life, and it was like where like there was no gates or anything. It was pretty cool. So you react like I do, like you kind of like are poised and professional and little dry mouth, little walking on air.
I didn't move. She walked
Yeah,
away, and then I turned around and went towards one of my colleagues, and I said, "I think I just saw Diana Ross."
yeah,
And he said to me, "Yeah, she's in Paris right now, of course." And I said, "She just passed by." And I was behind the glass. I don't think I would have come out into the street because it's too intrusive. Um,
right.
but if she had looked, if she had been on the sidewalk, she was on the other side. If she had been on the sidewalk, I would have waved, and but and then once she was on stage and I was front row, she kept looking at me because I knew every single lyric from every single song, and at
Right.
the
She
time,
likes that. It's
yeah,
like
and at the
her teleprompter.
Right. And at the time, she was promoting Force Behind the Power. So it was a pretty new album, but I knew every single song. And then she went like this to me to get me up on the stage. And the guy who was sitting next to me pushed me and went up.
Oh,
And he ran up on stage,
oh,
twirled around her,
wow.
and
Yeah.
then I didn't
Yeah.
dare,
So you
go
lost your moment. Yeah.
right.
But you
And
remember
people
the
said to me,
choreography? The choreography for the hand choreography for, was it Change of Heart? Love.
exactly.
And she did it with
It
a
was all
microphone.
done.
Like I can barely do it like this. And
And
she
we
had a
all did it.
microphone. She goes, "You've had a change of heart." Like, how did she do
So
that? Like so hard.
fantastic.
I'm sure the
She
people that behind that were really thinking, how could she do it singing Change of Heart and then still have the microphone in her hand? That's hard,
She
you
was
know?
so amazing. She had, I think, the most costume changes I'd ever seen, something like 8 or 9. And
Yeah.
she arrived in a Mugler gown, and then Mugler was in the audience, so she went up to kiss him, and she said, "He designed my dress," but she didn't say his name. And then she came back with the motorcycle, a bustier, that looks like the front of a motorcycle, and it's got the
Oh, yes, with
mirror,
a little the peekaboo thing in the front.
and then Beyonce wore it, and then
Yeah,
Diana Ross wore it way before. And it's just
right.
because what she did is she went to the Mugler offices and she said, "I want to borrow a couple of fun things for tonight." And they lent her that piece and she loved it and she wore it over a bodysuit and she was just absolutely wild. Then she threw it on the floor and it was so exciting. It was
Yeah, it's
so
so
exciting.
dramatic when she throws things on the floor like that. Yeah. So it leads up to Star 80 fashion and flair. Dinah's style is iconic. She's been on the best dress list forever and ever and ever. And let's not forget, she's been singing and dancing and doing all this stuff since she was like 13,
Absolutely.
1959, where
Yeah.
she was signed to Lupine Records.
Could you
And
imagine?
then 1960, 19, and then she did the Motown January 14th or 15th in 1961 and had records charting when she was 18, 17 years old. So I
Absolutely.
was originally going to have like my dolls at home, but I'm at work. So I'm
Right.
going to, in the other universe, but like, who designed this gown?
Well, I think it's definitely the duo Rhea Gayan and Bob Mackie. You tell me if I'm wrong in any of these things, but
Oh, I'm
definitely.
asking you. I'm not telling
Oh,
you.
it's
I'm not telling you.
definitely
I'm
that.
asking you because
And
I would have guessed that the dress was Mackie because of all the zippers and everything, but the fur coat I'm a little, because Diana, like I think the fur coat that she wore at the Oscars in '82 that she repurposed at the American Music Awards in '86 with Harry Belafonte. He's kind of talking sternly to her. It bothered me. Just one strange thing. I was a little emotional about that as a 15-year-old, 14-year-old. And then she wore it again with that black one that she wore when she spun around like Wonder Woman
absolutely.
in 2000 with the first it was a yellow and then I think she spun around, her hair was swooped up and she wore that gown uh at the Motown musical, which I was at the premiere, and she had the ostrich yellow thing
With
on
the
top,
yellow,
right,
yeah.
with a
Well,
kind of a interesting necklace thing.
white necklace and the
Yeah.
yellow coat wasn't ostrich. It's a faux fur
Mm.
and not the greatest quality. Um,
It photographs well, and you know what?
yeah,
Sometimes if you photograph well, that's all that
absolutely,
matters. I mean,
absolutely.
right? All right. And
Absolutely.
no filters. It picks up the light well. And I must say, I'm praying and hoping that someone gives me some fake yellow fur so I could do that little ostrich, or
Oh,
what I call the
little,
ostrich thing.
yeah.
Okay.
So
But that she wore that, I think she wore the fur for YSL fur in when she gave the award to Taylor Swift, who seems to really champion what Diana Ross means. And Taylor Swift was born in
absolutely,
'89. So, I mean, it's interesting how like people still recognize her from Beyonce to Taylor Swift.
of
And
course.
this young man, Lewis, is, he really is into Diana. It's really, really special. So
So
the question,
yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to tell you what she
tell
wore
me,
for Taylor Swift is a wrap that belongs to her, and it is a Saint Laurent haute couture uh, uh, wrap stole. It is a black fox, and because they absolutely adored it, and it is in the archives of Saint Laurent, they had her wear it again on that on that new
photo shoot.
shoot that she's doing, but
Yeah.
it is her own. It is,
So
pretty
it's
incredible.
basically YSL is timeless, Diana Ross is timeless, star
Absolutely.
80. All right. So in one swoop of your brain, one gown, what's the gown that speaks to you the most that you were like, if I could only like, besides going to Diana Ross's closet in Connecticut, that would be a dream come true, right? What would be, or I don't know, Los Angeles. I would just want to like repurpose if the feathers were messed up. I would like, I will fix it. I will overextend myself. I will fix them. Just let me do it. All right, let me be in here. But seriously, what gown was like, oh my gosh, that is it. What is it for you?
I think, well, it's actually not a gown because it's a two-piece, but I must say, again, because it's in my childhood memories and DNA, it is the gown for the opening of her television special. Here I am with the two tassels that were
Right, the one that's photographed like this.
exactly
And then
because of that.
Cher replicated that with one of her impersonators with Bette Midler and Cher. They did a voiceover and they
Right,
walked out with a replica, and we never saw the gown again. It was very fancy. I would
right.
like to see that gown in person. I wonder if it's heavy.
It's absolutely magnificent. So that what you see is actually a kind of bolero that goes over a white beaded gown, which has a very long, tight sleeve and has the same opening. So when
Right.
she takes off the bolero, she has the gown under. But those tassels that were at the bottom of the at the end of the sleeves that just held like this with that little ball, I remember when I saw that as a child, I thought, how can have I lived all my life without that at the end of each one of my jackets? Or, you just thought, oh, this is so, it's so perfect and so extraordinary and so glamorous and it's just so incredible.
Everything. It's
And her
everything.
appearance, she was just so magnificent. And I just learned a word recently. I saw a fashion designer on television, but a very, very old 1970s television appearance. It was Skazi, and he calls the beading rain pearls or rain beads because when it's in a line like this, it's rain beads, and Diana Ross has worn tons of those. And so, because when she has her arms stretched out, it really is like rain, those strands.
Now, what are
So
those sleeves called when she stretches her? Are they dolman sleeves or just like an angel wing thing? I'm not. I wanted to be a fashion designer, by the way, but I don't have the I have the self-awareness that I don't have that kill, if I could say that. Not that I mean that I can kill it with a sewing machine and I could kill it with designing, but like there's just something where I'm a Taurus. I'm just not that. I'm an educator. I'm a people person, and I made the right decision.
I can
Making puppets is
completely,
fine. It's
I,
great.
I
Yeah.
completely understand,
Yeah.
completely understand.
I
Designing,
would give all the line away. I would not have, yeah, it would not be good.
Well, you know what? I think we're both
I give the
like,
ideas away and I would give my gowns away that I designed. I
and
would
you
just
would
give,
give them
oh,
away.
take it, take it, take it. Yeah.
Well,
You
you
want to
know,
wear it? Really? Oh, take it, take it, take it.
take
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah. That's what I would do. Yeah. So
in
that's why I knew I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. Yeah. I got to be in it, go into art education and, find success in my own uniqueness like you have. I mean, you're a digital creator, you're a historian, and you are really good at working with material. And of course, you're a designer and a performer. So you're a multifaceted human being. And I'm going to go with the next question. It's
Sure.
easy peasy. Star 80 question, live or studio.
I'm gonna say just like Diana Ross, the live. It's not comparable. When Diana Ross is has been asked what is it she prefers, she always says, when I'm one to one with my audience, when I look at them, and that is, I mean, of course, in studio there's perfection and we love this, the studio albums and all, but what Diana Ross gives to the people when she's live, that
Mhm.
magic, is just I mean, it is magic, it is nothing else. There is a way where she looks at every single person, they all feel as though she's singing to them. There is a way as she points out and notices things. I told you, she saw my friend who had a sparkly T-shirt, and she went like this to him. We were ninth row, but that was so far, and
Well,
she
it
went,
makes
"Oh,
a
you're,
difference when somebody reaches out, like that does that kind of
you're."
interaction thing.
And Diana Ross saw that she was all shiny, that he was, shining. He had a sequin T-shirt, and she liked it, and we went. You'd imagine we went crazy. We're, ah!
Course,
We saw,
yeah, yeah.
and I was pulling on the T-shirt. I'm with him. I'm with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, live. There is just
So you
no
it's not
comparison.
Memorex for you, it's live. You like the live concert.
It's
I like every concert I've ever been to, and I remember all the set lists except for the first time because I passed out. All I remember was "It's My Turn" and "Muscles." I remember that, and I remember my brother Danny telling me he shocked everybody in the family, and because my father surprised me, and it was the one thing he did right raising me, and I'm serious, and I mean it. Like he wanted to connect with me and he was like, what the heck am I going to do with this person? And like I wasn't into Buffalo Bills or football or baseball or anything like that. And so he bought me and my entire family, I'm one of four, to see Diana Ross at Buffalo. And uh I was so excited. I was like my favorite thing I ever happened in my life up until at that point until, but I remember like I just remember my brother telling me after the show, you don't remember, but she came and she sang Reach Out and Touch. And this is true. He said he wanted to become a minister, like to serve God, because he couldn't believe that Diana Ross could go into this auditorium of 30,000 strangers and get them to all love each other. And, I'm like my family was all about education I'm using a Diana Ross quote. My dad, when he became a dentist, it was huge for the Bellavia family, because they were, working class. No one went to college. And my dad got into dental school when he went in like 2 years into college. They accept him into dental school in Buffalo. And a little fun fact, McKinley was shot in the leg President McKinley was shot in the leg in Buffalo and died of a BB gun because they probably needed doctors that were good. And we didn't have that at the time, I guess in the late 19th century. But getting back to the Diana Ross thing, my brother left medical school or the track to becoming a medical doctor, which was my father's dream and apparently not my brother's. And so he's serving God to this day because he went to the Diana Ross concert with us.
That
That's
is
kind of cool.
amazing. That is
Yeah.
fantastic.
So live or Memoreps, you like the live,
Live.
you don't like it on tape. Interesting. See,
I do,
you do,
but
you do like, but
more.
the performance is really cool. One of my favorite concerts is as an older human being, I helped all of her grandchildren get on the stage because I was that close. And I
You
was like,
told
wow.
me
Oh
how
yeah, 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 yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, that was cool. And I was like, they don't know, but like, yeah. All right.
That is
So
fantastic.
unexpected gems. What is the biggest miss in Diana Ross's career? It could be film, it could be a recording, a B-side. Is there any particular track that really speaks to you? Like, wow, that could be like Murder on the Dance Floor and chart in 2024 because it's such a good song and it resonates with the masses? Is there any particular deep cut by Diana Ross that's just an unexpected gem that really can like blow up? Because with streaming, anything's possible. I mean, we're talking
Absolutely.
at the same time. This was like a big deal in 1976 when she, or 76, when she sang Thing from Mahogany from Paris? No, Amsterdam. And she sang, and she was very Joan Crawford, Mildred Pierce with a fur coat and the hat, and she was in a carriage or something. And then it was like La Via Satellite, and now we're via satellite, and it's like 100 years
Absolutely.
later. But yeah, so this is streaming. Streaming could like boom, possibility.
So,
Tell us.
she was in Amsterdam when she was filming that.
Yes, I said I corrected myself. I
Oh,
didn't want
I'm
to make it
sorry.
all. I wanted to make it all Paris because of the you've got the bus ads and everything. And I'm hoping outside Touro University that we're going to have the YSL so I could stream possibly from it from the window and
That
say,
would
"See,
be
look,
exciting.
right over here, by the way, is a picture of Diana Ross, and she signed it. And
Oh, wow.
Terrence gave it to me. I gave Terrence a doll and come finger puppets of the Supremes because during lockdown I was doodling during conferences and I did all the gowns of the Supremes on overlock, leftover overlock. Because I don't like to throw things away because they could be repurposed. And
Of
I feel
course.
that way about all things like books, people, like you really, everyone has value and everyone should be loved and valued. So back to what song was not valued by Diana Ross that should have been number one. It's number one in your heart and on your personal chart.
Well, for me, it's a song which I even kind of passed, by on the album Take Me Higher. It's I thought that we were still in love. And do you know that song?
Of
Are you familiar?
course. Yeah.
And it was kind of, because Take Me Higher was, an album that had a lot of,
Yeah.
powerful hits and
Yeah.
a lot of songs that I really liked and more dance oriented. And then one day I was playing on vacation the entire album and listening to it, on the beach. And that song started, and I was able to listen to it completely,
Yeah.
but really relaxed. And I was, my God, look at the story she's telling.
Oh,
Look
right.
at
It really does paint a picture of pain, painful.
acting.
Rhonda, her daughter, who's an accomplished actress, she's an Emmy nominee and she's a jazz singer. And, she wrote a song called It Don't Matter, which of course speaks to me because it says like we're all the same inside. It has that kind of vibe, which is all about my vibe and my belief system. That when I heard, I thought she's saying, I thought we still believed in love.
Wait,
I thought we were still in love,
I
that
thought that
one.
was still in love. Yeah,
And then there was another track, You Make Me Feel Like I've Never Loved a Man Before. Rhonda sang both
absolutely.
of those intersect at one of the downtown Manhattan clubs like Fat Tuesdays or I think it was Tattoo or something. It was in the West Village. And I was really happy because I always loved hearing them on record. And I heard Diana sing I Thought We Were Still in Love a couple times of the many times that I was part of the Take Me Higher tour and then I went to all the shows I could in the tri-state area.
Fantastic.
Interestingly enough, Take Me Higher was an important record for me because she signed the CD for us
Oh,
in the
wow.
States, in LA and New York. And I was in New York. And then was recovering from a really bad haircut. And I'm still like a burn mark because somebody thought that I should have my hair relaxed. It was 1995. And it was probably not the biggest mistake I've ever made, but the biggest mistake someone ever made on my hair. So I had to take a leave of absence and let my hair grow out. Truth. And the point is that like I will survive resonated with me because I'm all about having, I like hair. It's fun. It's fun.
Of
And of
course.
course, if it thins and it's not what it used to be when you get older, but it's still fun to have hair.
Of
So
course.
that being said, we're surviving these questions, and this is going to be a great one. Number 6, what is Diana Ross's biggest contribution in her 80 years of life or in her career? In
Well,
your
I
opinion.
I would say, and now of course the obvious things is what she's done as an artist,
Okay.
but uh, so that is, the most obvious thing, the legacy, what she's left, her music and everything. But I really want to say that there's something about the way Diana Ross has acted her entire life, um, and has always had a philosophy and a way of thinking. And it is still staggering to me that although I adore her like you, and it's been now almost 50 years, I still discover things. And uh, I don't know if I told you, but about about a year ago, I saw an interview of her on an English show, and she was singing. Well, she was singing "The Force Behind the Power," and then she joined the panel, and Shirley MacLaine was there with an English actor, and the
Right.
Shirley MacLaine was hitting on the actor. I mean, she was slapping him, and they were joking, but she was really, really
Being
oh,
aggressive.
very aggressive. And she kept, slapping his head on the back of his head. And you could tell, he was joking, but it really became annoying. And all of a sudden, Diana Ross said, Shirley, if he turned around and did the same thing to you, all of the audience would be absolutely shocked and horrified. So I think what you're doing is not very nice, and maybe you should also think. And she was able to calm down. They immediately stopped, but she didn't break the energy. She didn't embarrass
Well,
them or anything.
you're reminding me of a clip from 1973 where Diana Ross is wearing the Bob Mackie red and white. I call it the candy striper. And
Right.
she's opens with Touch Me in the Morning. It's filmed in black and white. And Gil Gillaski
and
is the conductor. I
and
love
that's
saying
in
it.
Paris. That's in
I know it's in
Paris.
Paris. That's why I'm bringing it up. The
Oh
idiot
my
Saban and me.
God.
I remember everything. And of course, I wasn't there obviously, but I did watch it on YouTube and I gave it to my husband Dino to watch because when YouTube came out, that was was my favorite thing because somebody literally she says, touch me in the morning, then just walk away. We don't have, and then some fan that was totally fanning out. I would never do that. You would never do that.
That
Um,
I know. I
that
know
was
who
you.
he
That
is.
was you. It was you. No. So
No,
he
no, it
grabs her
wasn't
and
Bono.
then she eloquently like bites him. She bites him. She bites him, but she apologizes for biting him. And then with one, like she just unzipped her sleeve. I'm just making that, but like I would like she just unzipped her sleeve and said, like, Gail, then just what she apologized to him and didn't break the momentum on the energy and the love that she had. Because you see, I bit him, but I can't work when somebody attacks me. I mean, it was like he should have been arrested or detained because he was not it wasn't a good thing that he did. He attacked her and she was able to remain calm. She didn't scream or go ballistic and she was able to say, Gil. And then she said, then just walk away, which was ironic, but also really like pro. And, when people like lip sync and things happen or go wrong or like, the show must go on. And Diana Ross always, always, always has that show personship, like in Central Park or when the man bit or when she bit the man, but the man attacked her. Like he went up and just fully like, and she like pounded him like a superwoman or a Wonder Woman. And I really thought that was amazingly cool. And like, she's tiny but mighty. And it's the spoken word is so important. When you say something, you can manifest it. And I've always believed as a little person that I just wanted to get out of here, but I never told anyone I wanted to get out of here. I told myself. And, I got out of my own way and left, the hinterland and came to New York. And thank God I'm still here. Fun story. My husband, Dino, danced with Diana Ross in Studio 54 to her own song, Love Hangover.
Oh my God.
And it
Oh,
was like 77 and he thought she was crying because sometimes when she like dances, she like smiles, it looks like she's crying. And he thought she was crying and didn't know who she was. I'm like, oh my God, it's Diana Ross because people would just switch, the floors went up and down and the lights came down and he was dancing with Diana Ross.
fantastic.
And it was probably around the time that Michael and Diana were going to the 54 when they were filming The Wiz. And Michael was staying in a hotel or an apartment with LaToya, his sister.
How exciting.
I know. All right, next question and the final question. On my
Yes.
wall, it says seven. Oops. It says seven is magic. So
Yeah.
seven is my favorite number. It's a reader. I struggled reading that book when I was 8 or 7, and so it's important to me. All right, dream duet. I think I know the answer to this question, but you tell us. If you could fantasize about a musical collaboration for Diana Ross, now this could be like a person that's alive, or it could be like unforgettable, like Nat King Cole. They could be deceased. And with artificial intelligence, we could do, we don't even need Diana Ross. We could just get Cass Elliott's recordings and Diana Ross's recordings and do a version of, because you've heard, I'm sure, Frank Sinatra singing Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, or Mariah Carey, I think, does a version of Upside Down, but some AI did it. Like you
Yeah,
could like do a demo with someone's voice, but it's your words because the computers are taking over the world. So, but tell us your dream Star 80 duet with Diana Ross.
Diana and Barbara, because
Wow.
Diana, you know that
Heart
uh,
Don't Change My Mind could work. Or what are you doing for the rest of your life? We could do that. We can get in the studio and do it ourselves.
well, I think it's about time
The dance version with
that these
Eric Krupper
two
mixing it.
I think that it's about time that these two incredible women meet and sing together. And
So Star
Diana,
80, Star 82, because Barbara's 2 years older.
right,
No, we're talking about Barbara. We have to talk about the Funny Girl album.
right,
Diana Ross sings Barbara Streisand, or Diana Ross sings and performs
the
Funny Girl
funny girl,
with Shirley, Clyde, and Lynetta Fields, the Blackberries. And then recently, thanks to, Andy, George, and Joe, we have the original Cindy and Mary backgrounds too, so we can compare and not despair, but just compare if we want.
absolutely.
I have my opinion, what I like, and everyone that knows me knows that I'm crazy about Shirley Matthews. I've collaborated with her, and I love everything the Blackberries do. They're genius. If you know the album Touch Me in the Morning or any Michael Masser, they did all the vocal arrangements for songs that were abandoned on the Touch Me in the Morning album, and their vocals are so powerful and strong, and they kind of like are like a wind machine for Diana Ross, I think, when I listen to that album and any album. But the background is so important, and
I
that person
agree.
that I think they did the vocal arrangements. It's kind of like Madonna's background singers back in the day were Nikki and Joanne or something, or Nikki and someone. I'm sorry for that someone, I forget. But they did the vocal arrangements that really make the person that's they're 20 feet from the
Stand out.
star really amazing. And that takes a really good ear in artists to do. And I love everything about music, especially all those fun details. So back to your dream duet, what song?
I think it should be a new song, or a song that neither of them had ever done. But I just think that uh, Diana Ross was such a fan of Barbara Streisand, and Barbara Streisand is not an easy person, and you know, it's been reported that they've been in the same room together, but they've never really met.
There's never been a photograph, has there?
Never been a photograph of them together, and it's just they both have, although very different careers, but they've had the same, you know, rise, and certainly they have the same impact on American, on all worldwide, on the worldwide industry, but for the American music and the American show business, they're certainly, the two.
They're quite storied.
Mm,
I like Diana Ross a lot more than Barbara Streisand. All right, I do. And I have to say, I like Diana Ross's autobiography a lot more than Barbara Streisand's. Barbara's it's long, it's insightful, and I love the details, especially that she doesn't like the end of Funny Girl. The second act of Funny Girl is a downer. It's a downer. It's a downer. It's like King and I. It's like such a downer, right? But and not but Diana Ross's biography is so much better. I love it.
you cannot compare. I mean, they're both
Well, a lot of people
nothing.
do. When I was coming of age, they always compared
It,
Barbara and Diana, and compare to spare. I think they're similar. I do. And I think they have the same audience. And that's where we're gonna leave it. All right.
that's
But
right.
this was fun. And
Okay.
I don't adore Diana Ross. I like her a little bit, but I don't adore her. No, I don't, I was just being silly. But
I
before we
don't believe you.
yeah, my nose is growing. But this was awfully fun. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you for talking, because like I was doing a couple of these the other day, and I wanted to I just reflected. I'm like, oh my gosh, they should be talking. So please, thank you, love you, and hope to someday meet, if you're ever in New
Definitely.
York or if I'm ever in Paris,
When you come to Paris, oh, we must.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's a joy. It's a joy.
So until we meet again.